All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is last day of the week. Today is October 17th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you all to all my subscribers. Appreciate that. Thank you to everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for finding the value in my content. And a special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, anyone that shares the content, helping get the good word out there to the rest of the world. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, so let's take a look at the market today. All right, we'll start off with SPY. Okay, so SPY, a little gap down in the overnight action between the Asian session and the European session. They opened up really kind of low down here in 650 range. Kind of thought we'd roll over and visit that area, but no, that was not on the agenda. I just want to point out this purple line right here. This is the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, we are above the all-time high anchored VWAP yet again. All right, so I like 10-minute uptrends that are above that all-time high anchored VWAP. Anyways, for today, we're going to leave off with, I'm just going to call it consolidation. I can see price just moving over to the right. It's looking like it's starting a downtrend here, but it's in an uptrend. I'm going to call it 10-minute bullish consolidation in this bull flag. Let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart returns to a 2-hour uptrend. Remember, we came in this morning, we had a 2-hour downtrend. 2-hour returns to the 2-hour uptrend. Remember, my favorite trade, okay, is the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's inside of the 2-hour uptrend that resides inside of a daily uptrend, that resides inside a weekly uptrend, a monthly uptrend, all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's my ultimate favorite trade. So we'll see if we can get that going on Monday, all right? So 2-hour in an uptrend. Let's look at today's daily candle. Okay, so today's candle, wow, they're starting it out all the way down here. That's strange, but it is what it is. That was the early morning hour. Okay, so I don't think it's going to look like that later today. Let's see what it looks like. Let's just see what it looks like here on the daily chart. I just want to see that. Yeah, see, they're not starting it out at 650 down here, okay? So here's the daily candle. It's an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low. That means a wind up, okay, whenever you get the inside day. Lower high, higher low. We're going to close over the bearish trap, and we're going to close over the 17 EMA, okay? So, and let's put the quad lines on there. And you notice we're closing over the midpoint right there. All right, so I just want to move this down just to see what happens if I include some of that other price action. Right about there. Okay, so just want to see where it pans out. All right, so not quite in the upper third, but knocking on the door. All right, if I was to include all of the pre-market, the post-market price action from this big day down. So you can see here's price action with the big dip down, okay? No follow through, so we're coming back up to visit those highs. Well, we're going to try anyways. We'll see what we get. We got a failure right here on the third day. This is second day. That'd be the third day. Notice right here, failure to make a new significant lower low. So what happens when price does that? They're going to go back up and test the highs. You can see they couldn't make a higher high. But they are meandering around up here over the midpoint, which is bullish up there, but it's kind of neutral at the point at the current time. From the shorter time frame, that's kind of neutral right there. But from the bigger time frame, we're still all the way up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, all right. That's neutral bullish, and it's in an uptrend right there. Okay. Now the daily chart. Let me back up. Okay, it's not in an uptrend, it's in a downtrend. All right, it's in a downtrend that's not moving down. All right, so it's a downtrend. We made a lower low, it's a downtrend that's just not moving down. It's actually moving up on that SPY. Okay, on the weekly chart, still in an uptrend right there. Okay, uptrend and moving up. Monthly, still in an uptrend and moving up on the monthly chart. Okay, on the daily chart, yes, we're in a downtrend because we made a lower low. The point is, we're not moving down, we're moving up. All right, so there's SPY with the daily chart. All right, so we got the 2 hour. We did the 10-minute. It's just consolidation into the close. The daily candle closing over the bearish trap. That's a nice look. Closing over the bearish trap again for the second time, and we're closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so that's a good look coming into Monday. Hopefully, we can get some bullish earnings come out and maybe take price all the way back up to those highs. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Let's take a look at QQQ. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's do the 10-minute. I'm going to call it neither uptrend nor downtrend. I'm going to call it, because it's flat right across, I'm going to call it 10-minute consolidation. And I'm going to call it bullish consolidation because it's a move up and then over to the right. Okay, 10-minute bullish consolidation right there on the 10-minute chart. On the 2-hour chart, okay, we've got a 2-hour uptrend. You can see the 3 has crossed on top of the 8. So we now have a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close or into the open on Monday on the daily candle. We've got another inside day just like SPY. Again, we're closing over the bullish cross, okay, because the 3, see how the 3 is crossing the 8 there, closing over the bullish cross and over, see the green dots, over the 17 EMA. Now, QQQ, a little bit different than SPY. They did not make a lower low. All right, they actually are still in an uptrend. Unlike SPY, they made a lower low. QQQ did not make a lower low, so they're still in an uptrend right now. Okay, but a lot of inside days to this big candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside days to this big red candle with no follow through. Again, look, price comes over on the 3rd day. This is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd day, comes down and fails to make a lower low. All right, so now price probably going to come back all the way up to the top and try to tackle those highs up there. So there's QQQ on the daily chart. Weekly chart, yes, we're still in an uptrend. Monthly chart, yes, we're still in an uptrend. Let's put the all-time high on the QQQ to see where it fans out at. I just want to know. And we're closing up over the all-time high anchored VWAP on QQQ, right? So I like that. So both SPY and QQQ closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Now, just like SPY on QQQ, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that reside inside of 2-hour uptrends, that reside inside of daily uptrends, that reside inside of weekly uptrends, inside of monthly uptrends. You get the gist, right? So all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the most powerful trade for me, is those 10-minute uptrends like that. So I got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. Not a big fan of going counter trend in this market. We're still bullish, okay? We're still bullish. We do have a red candle. It's a huge one to deal with, and we're dealing with it right now, okay? So we haven't blown it out of the water yet. We still got some work to do to erase it. All right, so haven't quite erased it all yet. Right there. Okay, again, you can see with the quad lines on there. All right, going to drag these over. Come on, boys. Okay, we're not in the upper third. Okay, not in the upper third. Okay, so still just kind of neutral bullish because we're still dealing with this big red candle. Same as SPY. All right, still neutral bullish. All right, the SPY was in a downtrend that's not moving down. QQQ is in an uptrend that's not moving up. It's actually moving to the right. Now we'll fan way out. Here's our April rally where we start, and you can see we're all the way up here in top of quadrant 4. That is bullish. Okay, and we're in an uptrend that's not moving up. currently. Okay, so there's QQQ, daily chart. Again, weekly, uptrend, monthly, uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. All right, for IWM on the daily chart, okay, lower high, lower low, closing under bearish cross under the 17 EMA. So IWM kind of losing it. They were making new all-time highs earlier when the market, we were struggling. So here's IWM on the daily candle. Again, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish cross under the 17. Okay, IWM still in an uptrend. IWM still bullish all the way up here at the top of quadrant 4. IWM still bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Okay, Diamond Dow still in a downtrend. All right, it's in that downtrend that's not moving down, just like SPY and QQ. Well, just like SPY. All right, so here's the daily chart. Inside day, okay, for Diamond Dow, lower high, higher low, closing over a bearish trap, but underneath the 17 EMA and underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, okay? So it's not quite as strong as QQQ or SPY. I'd say QQQ is probably the strongest out of the three so far, out of all the Fab Five, all right? QQQ seems to be the strongest. So if I came in on Monday, I would be looking for some QQQ 10-minute uptrends to trade on Monday, being since they've got a 2-hour uptrend, they've got 10-minute bullish consolidation, they're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, and they have not started a downtrend, unlike SPY that did start a downtrend that's not moving down, all right? And then you look at QQQ, they're up over all-time high anchored VWAP as well. So QQQ, so far for me, Monday, that would be my pick. To trade that to the upside if we could find a nice 10-minute uptrend on QQQ up over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That would be preferable. Okay, so here's Diamond Dow. I'm going to pan out. There's your daily candle. Again, we're kind of neutral. All right, neutral bullish right here. From the shorter perspective, all right, from this recent all-time high down to here, notice we're in the neutral territory. But from the longer perspective, from the April low, rally out of April, we are up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, okay? And in a downtrend that's not moving down, okay? So I'm just going to call it like it is. So neutral bullish up here on Diamond Dow. And I wouldn't mind it, if all of the Fab 5 just moved to the right for a couple months, kind of cool it, give them some time to stock up on some spinach, eat some red meat, you know what I'm saying, so that they can make another run at the highs that would be more successful, okay? So I wouldn't mind a little pullback, not really a pullback. I'd just like to see them consolidate and move over to the right, get some time to eat some red meat and some spinach, get going, some iron, all right, and just make another run at those highs. Diamond Dow, kind of cool it for a little while. That would be nice. Okay, it's not necessary to make new all-time highs every day. All right, so let's take a look at GLD. It's nice when it happens. Okay, so GLD, new all-time high on GLD right here, obviously. Okay, GLD, new all-time high up there. Let's take a look at SPY. No, SLV I meant. Lower high, lower low, closing inside the bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. Both GLD and SLV, both precious metals, gold and silver, of course. Top of quadrant 4, okay, they're bullish and in uptrends, both of them. GLD, okay. Here's the quadrant, they're bullish, top of quadrant 4 and in uptrends. Okay, so there's GLD and SLV. All right, let's take a look at USO. USO getting in bearish territory down here. Okay, they're in the lower third now. Okay, so they're bearish and they're in a downtrend because we can see here's a high. They made a lower high. Here's a low, and they're making lower lows. So they're in a downtrend. Not to mention they're in the lower third down here. So they're bearish at this moment and in a downtrend. Okay, we'll see. Maybe they can rally up out of there. Every time they got in the bullish section, they rallied they lost it. They went up and they gave it up. They go up, they give it up. See, every time they got up in the upper third, they give it up. Okay, maybe we get down into the lower third and they give it up again. Okay, so that would be nice to see them come back to the midpoint here. I kind of like it when they're just on the bullish side of neutrality right there. But right now they're bearish and in a downtrend. Let's take a look at UNG. Now UNG made yesterday, not today, yesterday, made a new all-time low right there, natural gas. That's crazy, all right? As bullish as this economy is, and natural gas is making a new all-time low, something's wrong. I don't know, something's wrong. All right? I just think something's wrong right there. All right, anyways, and that's one of our alternative fuels, okay? Higher, low, high, inside day, lower high, higher low, closing inside the bearish trap, under the falling 17, bottom of quadrant 4. That's still bearish, still in a downtrend, okay? They have not fixed or repaired anything down there on UNG. Let's take a look at our technicals, T2101. Okay, now remember, today was kind of bullish. All right, and then recently when we were bullish, just want to point this out, it's a little bit different thing happening right now. Recently when we were bullish, we would lose market breadth, if you remember the video this morning. Okay, not quite the case today, all right? We were bullish, and instead of losing market breadth, look at this, we're making new highs. We gained market breadth, which is exciting because that kind of indicates the market wants to go higher as more and more participants are showing up as the price rises, okay? That right there is an interesting read on the market today. It has not been the same it has been in the past. Okay, I guess after they saw that double bottom, they figured they better get with it. I don't know. Okay, because recently when the market rallied, like this one, see, we lost market breadth. We lost participation. But not today. We gained participation and gained more market breadth. All right, so that was interesting right there. All right, T2101. That's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing in the recent days. Okay, we'll see. Maybe we got a rally coming and we just don't know about it. All right, maybe somebody's got the backdrop on, maybe China tariffs or anything out there. All right, maybe the shutdown's coming to an end pretty soon. We'll see. All right, T2101, 15-minute, more market breadth showing up today. Okay, we like that. That's awesome, and we're bullish. So the idea that we're bullish and breadth is coming in, that's exciting for next week. I would kind of lean towards those QQQ. If we could find a 10-minute uptrend, that would be nice over VWAP. All right, put that on your notes for Monday when the market opens up. T2122. All right, so a little bit different here. Okay, the market, our market on SPY, QQQ kind of melted up. All right, went over to the right and melted up. A little bit different here on T2122. We dipped in lower into the sell zone and the oversold zone. Did a triple bottom, all right, and then rallied into the seller's chop zone. Okay, so we returned back to base after triple bottom here in the oversold zone. So the bulls kicked them out of both the oversold zone and the sell zone to end up in the seller's chop zone. Okay, so got a higher low there, which inspired the bulls for a higher high, which we got right there. Higher high. See the high there? We got a low here, got a higher low, now we got a higher high. Okay, so I like this. Maybe we gap up. It'd be nice to see us just fly into this buyer's chop zone, start knocking on the door of the buy zone on Monday. We'll see what happens. All right, that would be nice. There's T2122. All right, T2123. Did we get... We're still in a downtrend. We're actually still making lower lows. See that low? We made a lower low. Now we got a high here, but this high right here has to beat this high on the 15-minute chart over here, okay, in order to get in an uptrend. So currently we're still in a downtrend, and my friends, that looks like a bear flag to me. I don't know how you guys see it, but I'm sure you guys see the same thing. That's a bear flag right there. So currently we're in a downtrend because we made a lower low. Here's the low. We made a lower low. All right, on T2123. So no help here from the NYSE. Still caught underneath this falling 200 SMA right there. Down in the bearish territory from the perspective of the all-time highs. Okay, we're still down here in bearish territory. Okay, let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. Okay, from the 3-bar chart's perspective, from the lows up to the highs, we're still in bullish territory from the bigger perspective, but from the shorter time frame, we're down here in the bearish side, right over here, underneath this 200 SMA that's kind of rolling up on top of us here. And you can see we've got a low here, and we've made lower lows. So on the 3-bar chart, we're in a downtrend. Got a high, there's an all-time high. We made a lower high, and we got a low here. We made a lower low, so we're still in a downtrend. We would have to come up here and make a higher high in order to negate this downtrend. It's just a label, okay? But that's where we're at right now, okay? And maybe, I wouldn't mind it if they put a line in right here. This would be like the upper third. If we did consolidate up here, okay, kind of pull back, go up, pull back, go up, for about a couple months, pick up some red meat, all right, some spinach, get some iron in us, make another run at those highs. That's what I wouldn't mind happening, okay? Believe me, I enjoy the all-time highs, okay, but I'd like to see a more robust rally, all right, with some, some fresh oxygen and some fresh meat, you know what I'm saying? Get a nice run with some good rest and get a nice run at it. That would be nice. T21, 23, 3-bar. We're still bullish, okay, but we're still in a downtrend right here on the 3-bar chart. So bullish, but not moving up, actually moving down, and in a downtrend currently. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. Again, you see FNGU down here. We're closing in the lower third. Well, I'm just going to call it the lower third. They haven't been that impressive. All right, so lower third for FNGU. All right, are they in an uptrend? Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got a high, and there's a high there, and so we've got a higher high. So now we've just begun a 15-minute uptrend for FNGU down here in the lower quadrant. That's still kind of bearish, still underneath the 200 SMA. I just want to point something out. Okay, we're spending more and more time down here in the lower quadrant underneath prior consolidation. Just going to say that is not bullish. That is bearish. All right, so here's some on the same latitude. All right, and now this is starting to accumulate many more candles down here in the bearish zone underneath prior consolidation. Okay, if they can fight this off Monday, I think QQQ could have a really nice ride on Monday. All right, if they could fight this off and maybe start leaning on that 200 SMA up here in the neutral territory, that would be nice. But currently they're in an uptrend, but still spent more time than we wish down here in the bearish zone. That would be the lower third of the all-time high to the pullback low. Okay, so still spending much too much time down here in the bearish zone. Okay, we could see 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is a triple bottom. I don't know. Okay, maybe, I don't know. I'm not feeling it though. I gotta say, I'm not feeling it. All right, we'll see if the bulls can get up over a lot of this consolidation. That would be nice to see them start consolidating up here instead of under here. All right, so there's FNGU. Kind of helping us, giving us that higher low and that higher high. Okay, still not impressed yet. Okay, not impressed yet, but they could on Monday, if they continue with this trend over VWAP. See, here's the VWAP line. If they continue with this uptrend over VWAP, I could be impressed on Monday. All right, for FNGU. All right, so let's go take a look at what I traded today. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, all I do is I just trade. I look at my underlying security, and I traded mostly SPY. Okay, so on the 10-minute chart. Okay, so I'll go down through the first one. These are going to be held over for Monday. Okay, these right here with the green, those are positions that I'm holding for Monday. I've got some puts, some 7-day puts, some 7 DTE calls. I've got some 5 DTE puts, and I got some 3 DTE calls. Okay, right there. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to scooch in here so you can see the day's price action starting from, here's the 17th. I'm just going to take all this off because it just gets in the way, all right now. So I'm just going to move it out of the way so you can get a nice view of what we're doing here. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so if you see a blue dot, all right, because this will be the beginning of the day. Blue dot is a buy, red dot is a sell. So I bought the lows of these candles right through here, okay, because I saw price break out of the top range, and I sold into strength. See, as price goes up, I sold into strength. And then I reloaded and I sold into strength. And then you can see I reloaded for Monday right there. Okay, same thing on this. Okay, into the dip. See the dip right here. I'm selling into strength and then reloaded for Monday. Okay, see I accumulate right here and then I sell into the dip, the strength right there, and then reload for Monday. Okay, so that's how I made those two right there. Next one. Again, I accumulate here and sell into strength. Okay, as price dips, the value of the put goes up, and I unload into that. Okay, price dips. All right here. You can see price rallies as price rallies, and then I sell into the dip right there. Okay, that's a put also. More puts, 49, 48. Okay, so I'm buying the lows and selling the peaks right here. I think this one was no, I had this one long. Okay, so puts, buying the dips, all right, and selling the peaks of these option candles right through here. A lot of volatility in these option candles today. In the option contracts, I'm going to tell you, they left a lot of room on the table for me to get in and out because they were way overpriced. And you can see that's due to the 10-day ATR being up over $9 up there. Calls, okay, 670 calls, 0 DTE. Again, I'm just buying the lows and selling the rallies, okay? Buying the lows and selling the rallies, okay? 675 calls, bought the low, sold the high. $10 on this one, bought the low, sold the high. Okay, 31K on this. Bought the lows, sold into strength up there. Okay, bought the lows, sold into strength up there. Remember, this one's decaying faster than it's moving up. Okay, because it's got a 668. We're nowhere near 668, so it's kind of melting off. So I'm battling both the price decay, all right, and the pullbacks at the same time. Again, buying the lows, selling the highs up there. Lost 802 on these, underwater on those from the beginning. Kind of doubled down and exited, doubled down and exited, and that's it. Just got out to lose $800 there. -4 here. Bought the lows, sold the highs. These are puts right here of the contracts. And 649 puts right here. Bought the sold the highs and bought the low. Those were that was a put spread that I sold the high and bought the lows right there on that put spread. All right, that's it for me, traders. I'll see if you guys got any questions, and then we'll wrap it up. That's going to be it. I'll see you guys Monday. Everybody have a beautiful weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me. All right, and let me see what we got here in the room. And I'm probably going to wrap it up here. Judy shares, we got some big boys reporting next week. That's probably a lot of the volatility right there. Notice 21, 22. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Paris. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Fahad. Where can I find the daily recordings that I make? Thank you. Yes, you can find those right up here. Judy, I would say a lot of the volatility that's come into these options is probably because of those big boys reporting. And I think that when they do that, when they report, the market moves quite a bit, and I think that's why we're getting such high premiums in a lot of the options right now. Okay, so Fahad, where can you find the recordings? Okay, the daily recordings. Okay, I have a bunch of them. Are up here. You hit the hamburger next to the people. Okay, go to the archives. And then you see right here where it says recording, right there. And you'll see all of the recordings come up right here. Okay? You can watch them right on here. You don't have to download them. Some of them are 6 hours long, all right, with a lot of silent time because all I'm doing is trading whatever trend is occurring at the time. You can see today was 5 hours and 42 minutes. And you can see we can just play right here. This is the beginning of the day. So this is the 17th. All right. Good morning, traders. Today is October 17th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at the... Okay. And this one right here, this is going to be... You can see it's the 16th. And it says the 16th right here. All right. Good morning, traders. That one's only 2 hours and 41. We had the members-only webinar that day.
My name is John Kerrigan.
I had to cut that one short.
Here at the BYOB Trading Room. This is the day trading service.
Okay, so you can find them right up there. You see that? You hit the hamburger from the room, chat. You hit the hamburger. Okay, hit the hamburger and go to the archives. And then you hit recordings right there. All the other recordings I post right up here. Okay? They're supposed to be posted up there. If not, you can hit Donna's right there. The video link right there. That'll give you to the most recent one. Same here. All right? Most recent ones. All right? So that's it right there. Let me see what else we got for questions. Hey, thanks Fahad. Thanks Rick. Thanks Alan, Paris, Robert, and everybody else. This is an old school way to read a chart. Up is better than down. Yes, up is definitely better than down. Yep. All right, so that's it, everybody. Everybody have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Put QQQ on your list for Monday morning. Hopefully we can find a nice 10-minute uptrend. All right, on Monday morning, that looks like it's ready to ride. All right, we're going to... Hopefully we get a nice 10-minute uptrend at the beginning of the day and we'll drill it. All right. Drill it for some contracts and let that 10-minute trend take us for a ride. All right. Until then, everybody have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see y'all on Monday.